This is a story that I haven't told many people because frankly, I feel like everybody would think I'm crazy. When I was 16 years old, I went on a ski trip with my school. I live in Australia and snow is rare, so we had to go an 18-hour bus ride down south to the snow. I was with my friends, we're having a good time, we were excited to go snowboarding, but on only the second day of this trip, my entire life shifted. So because we weren't experienced in snowboarding, most of us school kids would go with the people who worked at this snow lodge, and we'd all snowboard as one big group down the slopes. Some of the courses were more easy, some of them were more difficult, really just depending on what sort of experience you had as a snowboarder. I had none, so I was snowboarding with a big group of people, but I was the person at the very back of this group. Everyone starts to turn around this big mountain. Because I'm 5 seconds behind everyone, I turn around the mountain 5 seconds later. Mind you, it's a super busy day on the snow, it's a beautiful sunny day, and there are people everywhere. And like, not just us school kids, like a lot of people. But when I turn around this big mountain, everyone is gone. Everybody who was in front of me was gone, and everybody who was skiing or snowboarding behind me was gone. Like, there were people who were not in the group I was snowboarding with, other people behind me. So once I went around this mountain, they should have followed. I should have been able to see everybody in front of me, because after I turned this mountain, it was just a straight long slope down the hill. But I was dead alone. I'm obviously instantly confused, shocked. I don't understand what's happening. I get my phone out to call my best friend who was on this ski trip with me. And I remember so distinctly, my phone was on like 75% charge. Like, it was charged. But as soon as I pressed the little circle to enter my phone, my whole screen went black and the no battery signal came up. The only way I could make sense of what happened is that everybody somehow just beat me to the bottom of this course, and everyone behind me somehow went past me without me realizing. I was just like grasping at straws. So I continued to just keep snowboarding down the hill, hoping that I'd just make it to the end. The thing is that there was no end. There was no end to this course, or whatever alternate reality course I had just jumped into. As I mentioned, I was not an experienced snowboarder, so I was trying my best to snowboard, but I kept falling over. I decided to just eventually give up, clip my snowboard off, and walk. I walked for like an hour. I was tired. I was carrying this heavy snowboard. I was walking in snow, which is just as hard as walking in sand. And after what feels like forever, I finally came to this, what looked like an abandoned ski lift. It was really dingy and old and creaky and looked scary. I thought my best chance was to get onto this ski lift so I could get up high and have a look around, hoping that maybe I'd find where the main area is, because in the main area there's like a bar and cafes and restaurants and whatever. I thought if I can see that, I know which direction to walk in and I can just make my way over there before the sun sets. But when I get onto this ski lift, there's nothing but snow and trees. And obviously I was freaking out because it was sunset, like it was about to be dark. But then I was also thinking, how the fuck did this happen? Like, I was with a group of people in a busy area, and also because I was a child and a beginner at snowboarding, obviously they took us to a course that was super close to like the main area. The fact that I'm now on this single seater ski lift looking out 360 views and there's nothing, I didn't know, what do you even do? And it was on that ski lift, I just broke down sobbing. Like, I genuinely thought I was going to die. I just wanted my mum. And this ski lift just drops me off at nowhere, like no destination, no platform, nothing. The cabin that we were staying at, the way to get to this main area to go skiing and snowboarding in was that we had to catch a shuttle bus and then an underground subway. The sun set, it's dark. You have to understand how scary it was. Because when I say dark, I mean I couldn't barely see what was in front of me. There's no city lights anywhere. I didn't have the torch on my phone to shine. Just as I was about to give up and sit down and accept what was going to happen, I saw like this glowing light in the distance. And what it led me to was like this glowing tunnel with a staircase leading down into it. And what led me to the bottom was an underground subway. How that was there, I don't know. Why it was there, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense for there to be a proper station there because I was in the middle of nowhere. But sure enough, the subway came and I jumped on it. And it took me to the shuttle buses, and I took a shuttle bus back to the cabin. And when I walked into the cabin, all the school kids I was with, all the teachers that were there were all having like dinner together. And I was like, was no one looking for me? And everybody very nonchalantly, not in like even a rude way, were just like, oh, hey, Chloe, there you are. It was almost as if they were hearing me through a filter and they weren't grasping the gravity of what I was trying to say. I don't know. The whole thing was weird. The energy was off. For the next few days, I stayed in the cabin. I refused to leave the cabin. And then when I got home, things felt slightly off. I don't really know how to explain it, but for example, certain objects in my room were in like a different place. And it's not as if anybody in my family would have gone in and rearranged my room. It didn't feel like that's what happened. It felt as if that is where it belonged. But I knew that it was in a different spot before I left. Even just weird things like timing felt different. Everything was just slightly tweaked. When I told my sister about this story a few years later, she said to me, there probably is a timeline out there where you did get lost in the snow and quantum jumped. And she said there's probably a timeline out there where our family is grieving you, which is so scary and sad to think. But that's my story where if I told anybody, they probably wouldn't believe me.